Hi, it's Inga, and I'm back for my second video in my 5-element series, this one focusing on the fire element. So this is almost everyone's favorite elemental season because it's summertime. So the energy is at the highest point of the year, the sun is high in the sky, everything's just about being up, about being lighthearted, playful, and joyful. So there's so much that we could say about all of the elements, but for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to focus on 3 of the really important aspects. And at the end, I'm going to give you some tips that you can start applying now in your own life to keep your fire element balanced. Balanced elements means that we're healthier both physically and emotionally. So as I go through the qualities of the element, pay attention to whether you're experiencing these qualities in yourself. If you don't, you'll want to make sure to pay extra attention to the tips that I'm giving at the end that'll help you access your own fire energy. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is the fire element's connection with the heart, both the physical and the emotional. So each element has an organ that it relates to, and for the fire element, it relates to the heart. So words that come to mind when we think of the heart are love, of course, open-heartedness, connection, communication, joy, fulfillment. So a fire is warm. It's like a hearth. So think of what happens when there's a nice, warm, toasty fire on a cold day. It just draws people towards it, right? Everyone wants to hang out and be warmed by that energy of the fire. The fire, it's radiant, it's inviting. And so people who have great access to their fire energy, they also really draw people towards them. They have an openness of heart. They're able to communicate openly and have deep and intimate, fulfilling connections. So now think of the opposite. What happens if someone finds himself isolated or cut off or feeling cold-hearted? They don't know how to communicate authentically or to have intimate and loving relationships. Most likely that person is shut off from their fire element. That's going to cause all sorts of problems through their lives. You want to get that fire element balanced. So the second trait I wanted to talk about is an energy of enthusiasm and passion. So one of the marks of a really strong fire type person is a charisma that they bring their lives. They have a kind of razzle-dazzle component to how they conduct themselves. So they're the natural salesperson there, the life of the party, the politician, the performer, or the player. They bring a little spark to everything that they touch, and that comes easy to them because they have that passion. So we all need to be able to access passion in our lives. And when we can't do that, life becomes subdued. It becomes sort of monotone. And that right there is the mark of depression. Again, you want to get that fire element balanced. The third and last quality is joy. So also think of playfulness, recreating, lightheartedness. So summer is the time of year when we naturally make time for loved ones. Vacation, relaxing. It's easy for us to get stuck in this woody, workaholic, goal and achievement-oriented culture that I covered in my last 5-element springtime video. And we forget that it's not actually a luxury to spend time in these other activities that will nourish us. It's more lazy, light-hearted activities. Activities where we just feel a contentedness and a real present moment enjoyment of life. But those things are the gifts of the fire element, and it balances out the more serious, heavy element of these other elements. All right, so those are the quick 3 qualities I wanted to talk about, but what to do if you think you're out of balance now. So all of us should be spending time in the fire element over the summertime. But if you don't recognize the qualities that I touched on, or even you experience the opposite, then you'll want to focus even more on the tips I'm going to go into now. So I have 4 tips. The first one is to wake up your heart energy. Make sure you make time this summer to get out and spend time with loved ones. Spend time just doing playful, lighthearted recreational activities that aren't really about achieving anything, but they're just about enjoying life. And if you tend to be more of a recluse, make attempts to form at least one open-hearted connection with someone this summer. That'll really help wake up your fire energy, bring energy to your heart element. All right, so tip number 2. If you find that you're so shut down that the last advice doesn't even feel possible, don't just settle with this. Summertime or right now might be time to call a therapist who can help you work through whatever has shut your heart down. Communication is part of the fire element. Perhaps that's a struggle for you, and it's making it challenging to have any healthy relationships, and it wrecks any chance that you have for good connections with people. A really good therapist can help with that. So my third tip is, if you have an acupuncturist that you like and you feel can work with you on these deeper levels, get some acupuncture. Of course, as an acupuncturist, I work with acupuncture and herbs all the time to help open up the energy of the heart and to regain access to the fire element. I find it can be extremely helpful. All right, so my fourth and last tip is food. If you find that you're somebody who does lack that enthusiasm, that spark, and that passion, and you also notice that you tend to be a really cold person, kind of subdued, frigid even, rather than making this worse by eating lots of cold foods, raw foods, iced water, ice cream, the things we tend to do in the summer, bring some spark in from the inside by adding in more spicy foods, more warm foods, foods that have a little bit of a kick that'll start to warm things up from the inside. All right, so this concludes my fire element video. Be sure to stay tuned in a couple months when I will go over an extra season that we recognize in Chinese medicine called late summer, around harvest time. You can also get more frequently updated seasonal tips for staying balanced by liking my Facebook page. So go out now, have a great time, celebrate the beauty of summer, because that is the gift of the fire element.